Chicago! Welcome into the Chicago Sports Podcast, presented by Goose Island, the official beer of CHGO. Visit gooseisland.com/locations to check out all of their Chicagoland locations. Welcome into the show, everyone. I am Kevin Kaduk, head of content at CHGO. We have a very Cubs-flavored episode coming for you today. They were on the set just a while back talking about a little bit about baseball, a little Northside baseball. They're staying around to help me and Luke get through our Lawrence-free and Casey-free existence today.
Who needs them anyway?
Exactly. Welcome to the show, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo, and producing. The man on the board is Joey Spathis in for law today.
Joey.
So.
It's been in the ones and twos.
Show Joey.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys sticking around. We've got a good show. We're going to be talking about the larger Cubs who are doing their work in Indianapolis. We're going to be talking about the most heartbreaking trades in Chicago sports history on the heels of Patrick Kane getting moved out of town. And
the Patrick train is leaving.
The Patrick train
Chicago.
has left the station.
It's gone.
And we're also going to talk about CHGO's first birthday. March 4th is not only Chicago's birthday, but CHGO's birthday. So we're talking about that. But how are we doing so far?
Good.
Good, yeah.
I mean, it's cold today. It wasn't this cold in Arizona. I kind of wish I was still there.
Oh, here we go. Rubbing it in again.
For spring training. Not looking forward to the weekend's weather, but I am looking forward to Saturday, the 1-year anniversary of CHGO. It's a big day.
It's been quite a year.
Yeah.
Snow coming tomorrow, so I guess snow is coming in honor of us. We couldn't enjoy that fall spring for so long, but it's here. Luke, how are you doing today?
I'm glad Ryan's not throwing the Hawaiian shirts in our face anymore.
Yeah.
That part's good. It's interesting because everybody has something big going on right now, right? Like the Cubs and Sox have spring training going on. The Bulls guys just got back from Paris. The Bears guys are going like crazy right now with all the stuff. They have so many storylines, they don't know what to do with them at this point. And then the Blackhawks just traded Patrick Kane. So while not every story is something positive, we've all got something going on. So it's been busy.
It's been a crazy busy week. Like my head is spinning. We couldn't believe that it was Thursday afternoon already, and here we are. It's like this podcast almost always sneaks up on us because we're just so busy. We're going. Down in Indianapolis, though, the Bears guys have been crushing it. It's a lot of fun down there.
I've enjoyed reading Braggs's day.
His diaries.
Brick by brick.
His brick by brick.
Bricklayer at the combine.
Yeah.
What
He's
Rags to riches.
Brags to riches.
Brags to riches. There
Brags to riches.
He just brings a different, that little bit of different that crew. I guess I don't necessarily think they needed it, but it's just a little bit different compared to the Moriano and DeWitt and Hogue and Carm. I don't know how to explain it, but I think Braggs just kind of just brings a whole different vibe that just makes them even better than what
Braggs is the grout to that team. He's the grout between the bricks.
Yeah. Who's the speckle? Is speckle the same as the grout? I don't even know.
Speckle's like you patch up holes, right?
Oh, that's right.
I don't even know if it's called grout for bricks. It is with tile, but it's called...
I think it's called grout.
No, it's not caulk.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of white-collar dudes.
That's why we talk
just
sports.
Might be masonry cement. I don't know.
We have to have Braggs on the show to tell us
Tile,
about.
it's grout.
Hogue said today on the podcast, if you were in Indianapolis last night, there was a 77% chance that Braggs bought you a drink. So he's making friends.
There we go.
Well,
he's keeping bartenders in business. That's all you can ask.
He's done that for me before, even before we were at CHGO. I met Braggs in person for the first time at Murphy's in Wrigley a year or two ago, and we had just been friends on Twitter for a while, and he told me he was going to a game, and I show up to Murphy's in 2021, and he's like, "You want a beer? I got you." And I was like, "Thanks, man."
Should we give Braggs our
free? It's me.
Nice.
My name's Delmendo. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Should we give Braggs our Taking Care of Business award winner?
We could.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Can we do that, Joey?
One of our own guys.
All right. Why not?
That's the first ever.
This week's Taking Care of Business Award winner, powered by ComEd, is our guy, Greg Braggs Jr., covering his first NFL Combine. Go check out his feed. It's a lot of fun. G. Braggs Jr., 23. I said this. I mean, people love seeing what Braggs is doing.
Yeah.
And I said this earlier. He's just such a great roadmap of if you want to get into sports media, and let's just say you're a bricklayer, follow his roadmap. Treat people nicely. Work hard at every single rep, whether there's one person watching on your Facebook Live feed or, tens of thousands of people watching on CHGO Bears, and just have passion for what you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then drink brick juice.
Yeah.
As long as you do that, everything's going to be fine.
Right.
I really do think that the being nice people is is a very overlooked part of succeeding, not only in life, but also particularly in this business in this day and age, because you need those relationships.
Yeah. It's overlooked, but it's easy. It's like an easy thing to do, just to be nice to people. And the people that can't seem to do that, it always blew my mind. I feel like this whole company, like everyone's good to each other. We treat each other well and with respect. And when you go out past this company, sometimes you get in the world and people aren't like that. And I'm like, how do you live like that? Like just not being able to be just mostly nice to people.
People get territorial, and
I get it. There's some things that you don't want to be nice about, but it's just like, if you're the average person, you could be nice.
Not to brag about our Braggs, but we have the best bricklayer, sportscaster, media mouth in town. That's what we've got.
There you go.
It'd be kind of funny if, like, another Chicago sports media outlet was like, we got to go get our own Braggs, and brought in another bricklayer who, like, sort of looked like him, but it was like a bizarro Braggs.
The Braggs.
Yeah, like if we could get Garbage Joe or something, like some guy comes down and picking up trash.
Yeah.
What's Garbage Joe think about the Sox tonight?
It'd be like Gilbert with Goldberg. If anyone knows the wrestling stuff.
Bricklayer's a tough job, by the way. No shot here.
It'd be like that stuff that's going on out in Denver between DMVR and I can't even think of their name. I don't even know if
Denver
I should be saying
Sports?
that. Yeah,
DMVR and Denver
Sports.
Sports.
Sports, the rivalry.
Except that, I don't know if I should say that, but
You just opened up a can of legal worms, Cody, that cannot be closed. Way to go.
Well, that's honestly all I thought about once Luke said what he said.
What's the toughest job you've had? Bricklayer would be up there if you had. Ryan's done some plumbing, not easy. White Hen Pantry was no treat. Let me tell you.
When we hired you, your substitute teaching was substitute teaching not as hard as plumbing?
No, substitute teaching was.
Was there more poop with substitute teaching?
Well, I was in high school. So thankfully kids weren't pooping anymore on
Kids
out in the open
after
at least most.
Yeah, at least they would ask me
after 10.
They would ask me to go to the bathroom, and then I wouldn't ask any more questions. So maybe they did their business in there, but all I did was sit there, take attendance, give them directions, and then let them do what they needed to do. Like that was easy. That was the easiest $25 an hour I ever made.
Yeah.
Cody, the toughest job?
Toughest job, probably my first job out of college, because I hated it because I had to pretend that I cared about news, and it was for like a very, very, very small, like rural town downstate.
Like board meetings and stuff?
Yeah, like going to like that and like
miserable.
Like city council.
Yeah.
I did that for 6 months. I was so miserable. It was in 2015. Thank God the Cubs were good. And
but they got that four-way stop when you were there that one time, and that was a big story.
Yeah.
Luke?
Same thing. That first media job in Marquette, Michigan was, 400 inches of snow. Need I say more?
There you go.
Yeah, I've been pretty happy, I guess, with most jobs that I've had. I did work at a Best Buy during a summer in college, and that started very early for what college was, and I eventually figured out that I could actually go behind the refrigerator stock and take a little nap, and no one really cared. So,
or just they wouldn't say anything.
Just found a way to get through. All right, let's talk about the NFL Combine. That's still going on. Throughout the weekend, the workouts are actually just starting. There's a lot of talking going on, but obviously the biggest news story by far, this is going to be remembered as the Jalen Carter Combine, because as he was getting ready to speak with the media yesterday morning, news came out that an arrest warrant was out for his role in a fatal street racing crash with where 2 members of the University of Georgia football team passed away in January, right after they won the national title. And this obviously, it affects everything for the draft. I mean, draft-wise, I mean, there's obviously a very human component here it's difficult to talk about. And I'm sure it's hard for like Jalen Carter to get past. But it's just kind of thrown everything up in the air in terms of these things. So, like, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you guys heard that?
My first thought for him, when I heard about, are you talking about like the stuff?
Yeah, I guess we didn't know that he was involved until yesterday.
I had no
right?
idea.
He had said that he wasn't, and that he showed up.
Right.
And now it appears there may be surveillance videos showing his car leaving the scene.
Yeah.
So I guess
Allegedly.
the news this week regarding him, I mean, I was pretty shocked. And now this is probably going to cost him some dollars. So for him, not that I feel bad about it for him, but it's more of like all I can think about is like, oh, well, this guy's career could be in jeopardy. I don't really know exactly how much this incident is going to affect his draft stock, but if I'm the Bears right now, I think Jalen Carter's off the board for me. If I'm Ryan Poles, I'm
Me too.
I'd go with Will Anderson if we're going to take a deal.
Yeah, as I said, I think at that point, if that's the route they go, it's like Will Anderson is now above Jalen Carter. Like the decision kind of has been made, it feels like, and that's a terrible situation. It's just when it comes to that kind of stuff, that hurts. That hurts you just off the field stuff, incidents like that. I mean, not specifically that, but just off the field incidents always has an effect on how people view you, whether it's on the football field, off the football field. And because Jalen Carter is now involved in this, I mean, I don't know when a resolution is going to come, but it seems as though Will Anderson is now, if the Bears are going after one of those two, it's going to be Will Anderson, in my opinion.
He was great yesterday in his interview, by the way. The answers he had, Will Anderson, were great. And let's not forget, somebody in the league will still gladly take Carter.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen,
will.
but we're talking about the Bears because they have the number 1 pick. And they might slide to number 4, or they might slide a little bit further and have the Colts pick. He might he'll likely, for certain, still be available at 4. He'd be probably available when the Colts pick. But this isn't the GGL. This isn't the good guy league. Right. You're not just taking all guys. But the problem is if you're using a first-round pick, especially one in the top 5 or 6, in my opinion, you can't take that character risk.
The Bears don't draft here very often.
No,
they do not draft often. You do not want to end up with another wasted top 10 pick. You don't want Curtis Enos. You don't want Kevin White.
No.
You want to get a little closer to Roquan Smith. Hopefully you keep him. I've had a hard time with this, right? I mean, it's not a situation where he killed someone. I don't think you did something maliciously. He was in a completely different car.
Did something dumb.
I think it's a situation like. Honestly, I mean, I think people have been in situations where, hey, my friend's in the other car.
Yep.
I'm going to floor it.
Yep.
I mean, I'll raise my hand. I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in a car where a guy like just was kind of just like flooring it and just like being really reckless, and that's not a great feeling.
No.
Things happen, right? Yeah. I think there was whispers of his character concerns before this. I don't know if. The thing I can't really understand is if those character concerns are tied to the situation or something larger.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a bad decision for sure.
Right.
If he was indeed involved, foolish decision is going to cost him millions of dollars. Might not have any impact on his NFL career at all.
No.
Yeah.
But
now we were talking before the show, Luke, and I said, well, what if he ends up that this is Warren Sapp?
Right.
And you shot back right away. What if he's Lawrence Phillips?
What if he's Lawrence Phillips? Because the Rams thought, you know what, great running back, he's going to be okay. And
right.
Let me put it this way. I've never heard anything about him being close to what Lawrence Phillips was.
Yeah.
If it's just the driving thing, and don't get me wrong, 2 people died, and if he had a role in that,
So I think the best way to do
conservative.
this is like you boil this down as to not a moral judgment, but an investment judgment.
Yes.
Where are you going to invest your draft stock? Where are you going to invest that, what, $35 to $40 million you're going to give someone drafted at, near the top of the draft? Right. And you see a guy like Will Anderson who, apparently grades out a little bit better in that category. Now, what's intriguing is Will Anderson plays a different position and is a different player. So, like, what do you need? You're not going to stick with that top pick probably. So now, do you feel a little bit more comfortable trading down to between 7 and 10, and maybe going with Tyree Wilson? Are you fine getting Tyree Wilson and the extra capital?
I guess the way that I look at it with Carter, and I'm checking out the chat right now, and it seems like more people are willing to just kind of let this entire situation go for Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
For me, the reason I feel like the way I do is like, yeah, it was a dumb mistake. Well, how many times has he done something like this but just didn't get caught? And then you're thinking about the future of your NFL franchise. How do you know if he is going to mature whenever he becomes an NFL player? That's the way I look at it. And like, I see some of the comments, people saying all these good things he's did at Georgia. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm sure he's done some good things. But again, what he did was dumb. I'm not necessarily saying his character is bad. I'm saying, is he going to be someone that you want to like build your franchise around, or can you rely on him to just be like to not do anything stupid? Like that's to me, that's the question here. Again, like if you made me do the draft today, I would take Will Anderson just because it seems like a much more sure bet. But I totally understand why people could still be in on Carter. But that's like the issue is like,
here's the thing. This is a process where they look at everything, how long your fingers are, what your wingspan is, how you react to,
how you react to some.
What's your Wonderlic test?
Would you like to be an apple or an orange?
Yeah, like some stupid question there's not an answer to.
Yeah.
So
right?
to me, like,
this is a bigger question.
right, to me, like, it's not a bad thing to be sitting here and actually thinking through, like, okay, this guy was involved in a situation that left 2 people dead.
Right.
And
bad luck had to be at play. A lot of bad judgment had to be at play. Other people on their cars, made their decision. It is what it is. But, like, to me, you have to look through all these things, because just because you're drafted number 1 or number 2 or number 3 doesn't mean you're a surefire thing. Some people look at Jalen Carter and see a generational guy. Other people look at him and see something less than that. You got to. I mean, these are not easy decisions.
No,
The real question is, okay, we all agree if he was the number 1, if he was the best player in the draft and is the best player in the draft, and you had the number 1 pick, would you take him at 1? No. Would you slide down to 4 and take him at 4? Nope, too high.
Yeah.
How far does he have to fall before the Bears would be willing to say he's just too good to pass up? And then they start doing the spin zone and say, well, it was one mistake. He made a mistake. We believe in second chances, and that storyline starts. Does he have to drop to 15? Does he have to drop to 20?
Someone's going to talk themselves into him between 6 and 10. He does not
10.
drop below there.
Still goes top 10.
You can't.
I agree.
Someone threw out a scenario. Let's say the Bears walk away with 2 and 12 from the Texans, right? He's not around at 12. There's no way.
But if he is.
There's 2 more months for people to talk. Well, then I think you do take him. Absolutely.
Ryan?
The way I look at it is, I'm just happy I'm not the Bears front office having to make this decision, and I don't want to talk about Jalen Carter's character or anything, because I don't know the kid, and I'm not going to act like I paid attention to his.
How many people knew who Jalen Carter was 2 months ago?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know him, and I'm not going to act like I know him.
I'm not a college football guy.
Have paid attention to him much, when through his college football career. So I'm just going based off what I've seen, and I'm like, thank God I'm not in that war room right now trying to make that decision, because I don't know. Like, yes, you want to feel like, oh, he's a kid. He made a bad mistake, but can we turn this into a lesson that teaches him to be a better person, a better man? I see both sides of the argument. I don't even love. I'm just saying, like,
our team.
Well, I'm saying, looking from the outside in, it's like, if this is what the Bears are looking at between, again, Jalen Carter or Will Anderson, it feels like the decision is leaning towards, like, it's been made for Will Anderson in his direction. That's how it feels like to me.
This is the biggest offseason in franchise history. You can't get the number 1 pick wrong. Everybody agrees. It's the biggest offseason in franchise history. Ryan Poles will never have an offseason bigger than
the Bears
this
have to
one.
nail
He
the
can't risk
trade
it.
down first.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, you have to nail that.
Well,
so,
100% you're not taking him at 1.
Right.
Right.
And you don't really want to take Will Anderson at 1, but if you're forced to take one of them at 1 because nobody wants to trade, you're taking
This
Will
pretty much
Anderson.
ensures that he won't be there at 4 if you do trade with the Colts.
I wouldn't take him at 4.
No.
It's interesting.
Good luck, Ryan Poles.
I've loved the conversations from Indy. Corey Wooten is there, and he's throwing out some names saying like Kalijah Cansey, who's not projected, I don't think, to be a first-round guy. He loves him just as much as Jalen Carter. He thinks he has a higher motor, possibly a higher upside. So if you're able to identify some opportunities like that, you put Jalen Carter in the rearview mirror, and you never.
I'll give you another scenario.
I guess that's probably a bad choice.
I was just looking at
Yes.
the CBS's new mock draft, and Cansey's already up at number 5. It's Seattle. So
Yeah.
Corey Wooden's not the only one that might see something.
He's up at 5 already?
Kalijah Cansey. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wow.
For round 1, pick 5 from the Seattle. The blurb was the Seahawks aren't strangers to surprising first-round picks. So I guess people would see it as a surprise, but
It's interesting.
Hey,
Carter's
never know.
back at the combine today.
yeah.
The other interesting thing about it is, and this will impact franchises too, he's already talked to some teams, okay? Now, I don't believe the Bears, but he already talked to some teams. If he didn't tell them about this, that will raise a bigger character question for teams almost than the incident
we got
itself.
lied to.
Right, like
Yeah.
he didn't tell us, and then that trickles down. But again, not the GGL.
Yeah.
Somebody's not going to care. I just wonder if you got, let's say the Bears trade down twice, and somehow he slides to 10. I personally would rather have the best wide receiver in the draft than take that risk.
Yeah. I
Or the
mean,
best offensive lineman with that. If you had 2 picks
There's
there.
so many different holes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
The Bears, they have so many holes.
I'm not sold on Will Anderson.
Oh, I don't know, but I heard I went through the list of things that he's accomplished in college. I was like,
Absolutely.
2-time SEC, Bednarik winner, Bronco Nagurski 2-time winner.
If he doesn't fit the Bears scheme, if he has not played with his hand in the dirt,
Yeah. Well, then I say trade down multiple times and get as many picks as you can, or start to get the picks piled up for next year,
yeah.
and just shoot it back another year, so you're not making all the decisions this year.
It just feels like whatever decision is made is going to get scrutinized.
Oh,
to
it will.
Hell,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, because none of them are
like
guaranteed.
Like you said, it's the biggest offseason in Bears history, probably ever. And you're looking at it like, okay, Ryan Poles has to get this pick right, number 1, and we're not going to know if he got it right for at least a couple of years. It's going to be scrutinized to hell for a while.
So 2 weeks ago, Kalijah Cansey we're talking about, he was ranked by Pro Football Focus as 39th overall and the 4th interior defensive lineman. So he must have made a pretty big jump here in the.
That is a CBS mock draft. I don't know that everyone's projecting
Are they
him that high,
Are they?
but,
Yeah. Well,
Well, the quarterbacks haven't even worked out yet.
yeah.
that's not.
That's
until
the other.
Saturday.
I think that's Friday. But like, what if they all stink at the workout? Then that number 1 pick is losing value. You need those guys to just all of them be like, phew,
Right.
or one of them, so people are fighting to get one or two.
We
of them.
need Will Levis to really become a thing. Like,
I think
we
you need at
that.
least you need
We
at
need
least
someone
2 of
to
those
have
guys.
we need
2 of
someone to
them.
have a Zach Wilson-esque
Yeah.
workout. We're just
Whoa, that throw.
Anthony Richardson is getting some good press. Let's talk him up.
Yeah, he's looking
Someone was
great.
saying,
I love
who
him.
was saying he's the cross between Cam Newton and Justin Fields? Sure, why not?
He's
Let's
an
go.
athlete.
Let's go.
I've watched him.
Yeah,
Wow.
which did not expect that.
What
Couple months ago.
what drill would you do for the combine? If we had to do it here, what drill would you feel most confident saying, okay, I could place top 5 CHGO?
Bench.
I just don't want to race Herb in the alley. That's all I know.
Bench. I think I would get number 2 in bench. I think Steven might be able to beat
Oh
me.
yeah, you and
Yeah.
Steven in a bench off.
Steven might be able to beat me,
Steven
but I definitely
just
get top
dropped
2.
and did
Maybe
20
three.
push-ups.
If I can't get
Well,
top
Corey
5
Wooden
in
would be
bench.
involved in that, right? I think I could get
No,
top 3.
Wooten's not
Yeah.
allowed. That's not fair.
Yeah, Wood would beat us all at everything. man.
Io is not allowed into the building, and Corey's not allowed in
Io
the building.
too.
Hiding
However,
kind
if
of
they wanna
physical.
Who's
play-
the fastest person here?
Well, it depends.
Nick,
Are we
yeah.
going by
Nick,
age
yeah.
category? I feel like I got a pretty good chance against Larry in a sprint.
Are you fleet of foot, Luke?
No, but I only have to go against one or two people. If it's 50 and over, I don't have to compete against too many
Age
guys.
categories. I'm trying to think of who would, if anyone could. You're pretty fast, Joey, aren't you?
Joey looks quick.
Quick.
Quicker than fast.
A lot of burst.
I don't know.
Nick would probably win most of the like athletic type things,
Nick and Ryan.
like the
Showdown with
jumping and
Steven.
the running stuff. That's
Yeah,
fair.
we're
I
not-
forgot
this is
about
not
Go
Olympics.
Leaves a swimmer, yeah.
Nope.
I don't remember all the. I would lose like the hand measurements. I know that.
Yeah, we know we're all. Nobody's good at softball. We know that.
It's a written exam.
I hit a home run in softball this year.
He did.
But
I also
Mr.
pulled
Delmendo hit into a triple
Yeah,
play.
he did.
That's
Also
not
pulled-
to
No one
be
wants
forgotten.
to forget that. Damn.
No, we're not.
It
It
was
wasn't
not
his
my
fault, but he did it.
If he didn't put it on the ground, it wouldn't have been a triple play. So kind of was.
Appreciate everyone in the chat today. See my man Marcos. He was out at our Bulls meetup last night. It was awesome meeting him. He came all the way down from Gurnee on the train, which was awesome.
Love that.
He says, "Good show, fellas. Nice meeting you last night, Kevin.
outlet.
Continue to produce good content in CHGO. It was really cool.
Great outlet.
You guys missed out on a good party last night."
Saw some
Yeah.
good picks.
Someone was asking where Luke was. I don't know if it was Marcos.
Luke has a child that he has to look after. He
Right.
goes straight home.
Gotta get that kid to bed.
It's all right. We'll have plenty of Cubs takeovers or watch parties this summer.
That's right.
Yeah.
A lot of. I'm looking
Marcos
for.
looks like
I'm
he's
looking.
wearing a
I'm looking
sock
forward to
shirt,
getting past this terrible weather and getting some of these things outside and
That is so
Yeah.
true.
cracking the Goose Island in the sun.
That's why we always look forward to baseball season because we know that's when the weather is at its best, is right when baseball season starts.
This
Not when
weather
it
is
starts, but
this weather is bad news though, because you say, "Oh, it's 50 degrees," and then you go outside, and if the sun drops just like a little bit in the sky, it's
Yeah.
38 and windy, and you're freezing outside, and you're like, "What happened to 50 real fast?"
Yeah.
So we're 4 weeks away from the Sox season opener, and
We're
4 weeks in a day.
28 from the Cubs.
4 weeks
28 days.
exactly from
Oh,
today.
is
when
it
the Cubs-
March 30th for the
Yeah.
Cubs?
Yeah.
And then 29th for the Sox, I think.
I think so.
Is it? Okay.
We don't cover the Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean, when do the Sox start?
What?
What day do the Sox
29th?
start?
Opening day.
There
Oh,
we go.
30.
Same
Both
day.
is
the 30th.
4 weeks from
28
today.
days.
Let's
for
go.
both.
Cubs and Sox both open.
All right. Chicago, you've already got the best coverage for your favorite team, so get fitted out in the best sports gear around. Foco got you covered from Soldier Field to the living room, north side or south side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles, Foco. Looking for the perfect gift for the football fan in your life? Foco's got you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze. We've got 3 or 4 more months of hoodie weather, so
Yeah.
go for
Yeah,
it.
we're going.
At least.
Check out Foco.com or click the link in the description below. And for all non-presale items, you can use the promo code CHGO and you'll get 10% off. Pretty cool, guys. We've actually been talking with one of our salespeople. Foco's going to send us some cool bobbleheads for
Hell yeah.
Cubs and Sox. We're going to populate
Museum.
Taves and Hester and Fields down here with some
yeah.
baseball people. So Foco has us covered. Foco can have our fans covered. Check it out, Foco.com.
Maybe that Schwarmer bobblehead you wanted.
Oh,
will
yeah,
come
we've
in.
been asking you.
Yeah.
Braves.
It would just be such
Once a
a
Cub, always a
like
Cub.
a collector's item. We could tell our kids about the match.
Well,
Schwarmer
one of the
era.
things they're sending us is this really awesome thing. It's like this
Debut.
gigantic gold glove, and it's got Andre Dawson
Oh.
bobblehead in
Really?
front of it.
Okay.
I'm like, if that thing comes in here, it's probably going to walk out the door with
Yeah.
someone.
Somebody's-
That
yeah.
someone might be me, but anyway. Luke, tell us about Game Time.
Game Time is the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. The best deals on tickets, I should say. Ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could? 50-yard line, courtside, behind home plate, floor seats at a concert. It's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on seats you thought you never could buy. You won't find a better deal this upcoming season on Cubs and Sox tickets created by the fans for the fans, guaranteeing the lowest price. And if you love CHGO, you're going to love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. Is it too early to get Bears tickets?
Probably
No.
not.
I'm going to the Big Ten
Yeah, so you
tournament
can
next
get the
week.
Big Ten tournament tickets.
Game time?
Thanksgiving
Game time.
Is Sean
Big
going
Ten,
too?
game time.
Sean's going
I
too.
will say one of my I don't know how this works anymore with all the digital ticketing, but one of the coolest things about postseason basketball is when someone gets eliminated and everyone descends on the just eliminated fans and tries to get their tickets. I don't know if that happens anymore. It's like, hey, give me your email address, or it used to be just people, passing off their paper tickets.
Let me forward it to you.
That's the one thing I do miss about tickets, like going to events or whatever, is they don't give out the actual tickets.
Yeah.
There's no souvenir
Yeah.
anymore.
No.
That was like the cool thing.
Well, it's like, remember back in the day when to get Cubs tickets, you had to get the wristband and try to get the right place in line and stuff. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah, back in the day.
Joey does not
I'm
remember
only
that
like
whatsoever.
3 years older than you. How do you not know that? You got a wristband.
Right when they first started the printouts, I'm like, all right, I'm going to save these printouts, and just not the same
And
thing.
they used to stamp your hand going into bars.
The
They
nice
still do
thing
that.
is they still do credentials, and credentials are worth saving. So
Yeah.
That's true.
Michael Jordan's last
Really?
game in Chicago as Bull.
Nice.
Okay.
I did a story about a guy who was trying to collect a ticket to every game that Michael Jordan had ever played. And I mean, it's crazy. He's like missing like 60 of them. I mean, literally every game, like 1986 in.
Even the Wizards games?
Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely. I mean,
wow.
Olympics
It's a lot.
games,
It's crazy.
everything. I don't know if he went into North Carolina days or not, but
He's got way too much time on his hands is what that guy's got.
well, the problem is like he may never complete it because the tickets to the opener, the first game he ever played, are like north of $40,000 now. So
Yeah, man, even if he does do it, so what? What are you going to do with it? Then you're going to sell them all? The minute you get them, you're going to sell them, because if you don't, you're an idiot. That's
Yeah.
a terrible collection.
Yeah.
Every game he ever played, do something attainable. Win the lottery.
there's a guy actually out there. There's a guy.
It's more likely.
If you go to carltonfisk.com, it's not owned by carltonfisk.com. It's owned by some person who's like way too into Carlton Fisk.
Oh, wow.
God.
And they're also trying to like get a ticket to every Carlton Fisk game. So think about that. That's like Carlton Fisk played 23, 24 seasons
That's
times
ridiculous.
162. I mean, not that he played in every game, but
It's impossible.
Wow.
It's impossible. I wouldn't even.
That's a
know where to
collection that
start.
I just have. I do not have the time or patience to want to try.
Also, like, how is he finding, is he just tweeting
A lot of
people
trading.
like, hey, do you have a
Yeah.
Bulls ticket?
so part of the reason he
available?
approached me was I was at Yahoo. He thought he could kind of get his
His quest out there?
His quest out there a little bit more. And so he trades a lot. Some people just send him. Real cool guy, but yeah, it's a little weird pursuit too. So, all right, let's talk about the week's other big story, which I would argue is a little bit bigger in Chicago, and that was Patrick Kane getting traded to the New York Rangers. We saw the pictures today, him and a New York Rangers.
Weird.
Come on, man.
Real
Like,
weird.
Yeah.
it was. Did you see like the picture of him at the press conference? He kind of looked like a NASCAR driver with the New York Rangers logo and everything.
A lot going on. The only thing is that the red, white, and blue at least make it look like a Team USA type thing. If it was colors that were just not in any scheme you'd never seen him in or ever seen him in, then it'd be even weird. It still was so strange.
I guess that's cool that he's still with an American team. I mean, being the best American player. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
an
stings
original
a little
six.
though that it is like New York.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm not the biggest hockey guy, but I realized that like Chicago and New York just doesn't like.
Right.
I really
If he was
thought I
in
would be able
Tampa,
to
who
talk
cares?
myself
Right,
into.
right.
All right, I'm going to really get into whatever team that Kane or if Taze had gone, I would have been super. Like if Taze had ended up with the Avalanche, I'm like, all right, break out the Avalanche jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know like how badly I can get into the New York Rangers winning
New
a
York
Stanley
Rangers.
Cup. Like
Yeah.
no.
just root for Patrick Kane. That's pretty much it. Like, you don't have to even care that the Rangers win. It's like, oh, good for Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Absolutely. So we did last week's podcast, and I was pretty adamant like they should not trade him. They should do everything, and it just didn't work out that way. And I have to say, like, I honestly cannot remember a trade in my Chicago sports fandom that has affected me this much. Like it still does not sit right with me. I still like this was a guy that should have retired as Chicago Blackhawk. You should have figured out a way and maybe it didn't happen. Maybe Patrick Kane didn't want to stay here. Maybe he still wants to go win his 4th Stanley Cup. But, man, this one hurt. And so what I want to know from you guys is, and I want to know from people in the comments, what was the Chicago sports trade that broke your heart? Not, they traded Mitchell, they traded up for Mitchell Trubisky. That's different. This is something like
player they traded away.
Player that traded away.
Roquan. It could be Roquan.
Yeah, and it's not Lou Brock. You didn't know what Lou Brock. One, you probably weren't alive for Lou Brock.
Right.
2, you didn't know what.
Except for Lou.
I never saw Lou Brock play.
But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like
not necessarily a bad trade, but just like a heartbreaking one.
Not the worst trade.
I mean, the number one for me is Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Easily, like very easily. No one else has. No other trade in any of my teams I've ever made have made me as sad as seeing Derrick Rose get traded to the Knicks. One, because I mean, growing up when Derrick Rose was drafted and debuted, like that basketball, the Bulls were my team. Basketball was my sport. Derrick Rose was like not my first favorite player, but he quickly became my favorite player of all time. Seeing the rise, seeing the fall, all that stuff, the attempted comebacks, all that. Man, I was way too invested in all that stuff.
Same.
And then they trade him, and yeah.
Did you think he was going to be a Bull for life?
I thought so.
I don't know, because at the
too.
time it didn't feel like it felt like he was gonna eventually be gone somewhere, right? But it didn't make it any less sad for me to see him go. And then, I mean the change of scenery has probably helped him. But then you see the video of him finding out he got traded. Oh man,
heartbreaking.
That made me shed a tear. And then every year, or whenever he's a free agent, I'm sitting here clamoring for the Bulls to bring him back. He could be the
trade
backup
deadline.
point guard,
I was like,
man.
bring him back. And
Every
this
year,
team stinks. Let's make it fun.
And the Bulls won't bring him back, and it's every year. It's another little heartbreak that stems from the fact that they traded him. Was that 6 years ago now? 7
Do you
years
remember
ago?
what the terms of the trade were?
No,
Didn't they get back? It was with the Knicks. And
I don't remember
I'm sure it was
what
a
they
pick
got back
in there
at all.
somewhere.
I don't remember
You
what the
can't name one player.
I can't name any piece of it.
Robin
That's-
Lopez.
Robin Lopez,
Good call.
They get
Cody,
Rolo
good.
in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Jose Calderon, and Jerian Grant, and they also sent Justin Holiday and a second-round pick.
They got
got nothing.
Horace Grant's
They got nothing.
kid or whatever.
They got nothing.
Bulls legend. Robin Lopez, Bulls legend.
A lot of people in the comments saying Derrick Rose. DJ Cal says Derrick Rose trade by far. Our guy Doug said, I saw Lou Brock play, but was a kid. Don't recall Ernie Broglio at all.
Yeah, no. So that's
Roquan
mine.
and Mac for the Bears. Like there haven't been a ton of Bears
trade.
trades. Like trading the NFL's not quite as common.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have 2 already just in this last season, the 2 best players on defense. I understand why they did it. And I would say Roquan is closer to his prime than obviously Mac is. But a lot of people don't buy the Roquan trade. That people still are like, well, why would you trade
I would
a guy
say that's
that
still a
good?
different kind of trade. Like Chicago wasn't in
He's not
love
a
with
le-
Roquan.
He's not a
or
legend.
Khalil Mack.
No.
I don't think
The
that Chicago.
It's the hockey and basketball.
I don't think that
ones.
Chicago was like that in love with
Baseball.
Khalil Mack either. You know.
Well,
Like,
you can tell the story of Chicago sports without Roquan or Khalil Mack. You
Yeah.
can't tell it without Patrick Kane. You cannot tell it without Derrick Rose.
It really would have felt more like if the Bears had traded Brian Urlacher or something like.
I know. Exactly.
That's the level that it would.
So-
Well, we're all purposely not saying the Cubs trades. I mean, you just had a tear down of the guys that won it in 2016.
I was going to say we're probably getting to what Cody's going to say, and you cannot tell the story of Chicago sports without the 2016 Cubs, right? That's
Right.
Probably the number one bullet point. Well, no, probably
Chris
1A.
Bryant cried.
What's that?
Chris Bryant cried.
Yep.
Chris Bryant
When he
did cry.
came back, yeah.
So was it a combination of all the trades, or did one particularly hit bad for you, Cody?
Trading Anthony Rizzo hit me worse than any of them, because the reason Baez and Bryant didn't hit me like Rizzo is because they traded Rizzo the day before.
Yeah, Rizzo's first.
So they traded Rizzo. I was in shambles, and then the next day I just, I knew that, okay, they moved Rizzo. Bryant and Baez are on their way out of here. I just want, God, it's like PTSD talking about this shit. Like,
Well, you didn't like the Darvish trade much either at the time.
Well,
not that he was a Chicago legend, but
I that's another story.
sorry.
Yeah, Rizzo, I mean, he was here for 10 years. Was the captain, helped break a 108-year curse, beloved by the fans, like beat cancer, does all these things for kids who have cancer. Like like from a fan perspective alone, like all those things are a big reason why Anthony Rizzo is forever a legend here. We've talked about on CHGO Cubs, like who from 2016 is going to get a statue. And if like, to me, if there was just one guy, if you had to choose one guy, like I don't care if Anthony Rizzo is in the Hall of Very Good, which he basically is, like, and all the rest of the statues are all Hall of Famers. If there is one guy from that team that deserves to have his own statue, I would say it's him. As far as a player,
boy, I'd argue it's Chris Bryant.
Well, I think Chris Bryant's a
if
better
it had to
player.
Be one,
if it had to be
MVP,
one.
he was the MVP that year.
But I just feel like Anthony Rizzo, like you're talking about trades that, like, I guess give you heartbreak, and like I just don't feel like the city was as broken. Like they were broken about it, but like no one really thought that they were going to trade Rizzo, and then it happened, and it's like, okay, the rest of these guys are out of here. But I mean, you could sit here and argue about it all day. All I'm saying is that when that happened, it sucked. It's a guy who was here for 10 years and won a World Series. He was top 5 MVP vote in 2016. Like he was one of the best first basemen in the National League through most of his years with the Cubs. Like he made an impact here, and that's kind of like, not to say that Javi and Chris Bryant didn't. There was just something a little bit extra with Rizzo because he was the first guy during the rebuild. He was the first guy that came up and everyone like latched onto.
I'd argue Starlin Castro was first.
Yeah. And I almost would argue.
We're talking about the team that won the World Series.
I get why it's to you. You're saying Rizzo, he was the first one, so it hurt the most. I would say the flip side, it's Baez and Bryant because they were homegrown guys. Mm-hmm. Rizzo started with 2 other organizations before he got here, so you'd seen him in something else.
Yeah,
you'd never seen Chris Bryant and Javi Baez in anything else.
True. That's fair. I guess it's.
I think it goes to who was your favorite player at that point. Like
maybe.
I think
the thing is like Chris Bryant was my favorite player of that entire era or whatever. I just think Rizzo just kind of
when you throw in
hit the fans a little bit more.
Yeah, the fans, Lurie Children's Hospital, the involvement,
community stuff, and Javi,
I agree with Cody with
Rizzo
deserves like the separate statue. I just don't think. I don't know if they're ever going to get into statues past the 4 core, 60s.
And the
guys.
way that the way that they do the statues right now, it's like all those guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Yes,
and
it's so only for.
I lean to believe that when they commemorate it and whenever the 10-year anniversary,
it's going to look like the White Sox one.
It'll
be like a
and I'd argue that's the way to do it. And we talked about it when Fergie got his statue last year. That as much as like some of those players were, I mean, Chris Bryant won the damn MVP that year. Ben Zobrist won the World Series MVP. Rizzo was Rizzo. As much as like those guys were great in their own right, like none of them mattered as much as that team winning the World Series. Like
no,
it shouldn't be any one of those guys. It should be that 2016 team.
I was just saying if there was one, I just think he made a bigger impact on the city in terms of popularity and how it came together. I don't think that. I think in 20 years, when you look back on that team, more people were going to remember Anthony Rizzo than the rest of them. That's the first name that people would say. So, yeah, that day sucked. I had to do a podcast about it.
July 30th, 2020, or 29th?
Something like that.
29th, I think, was the day.
Yeah.
The 30th.
Either way. I actually had lived in Chicago for a week. I moved to Chicago a week before that
So
day.
it's your fault.
Yeah. Sounds like you drove them all out of town.
Yeah, so...
The Hawks have some that are just as bad, though.
I was going to say, if I have to go back, like Jeremy Roenick getting traded, that was bad. I mean, that was...
Roenick, Chelios, and Kane stand up against any 3.
Absolutely.
Those are 3 of the biggest names in franchise history.
Yeah, and that was in the middle of their prime. I mean, that's... All these other people were arguing, like, we got a lot out of them. Obviously, we got a lot out of Jeremy Roenick, but there was still more to get. Yeah, the Hawks have not acquitted themselves well. Very historically, our guy Michael Collada mentions Phil Esposito, who came up with the Hawks, ends up going to Boston and just scoring goal after goal after goal. So that one sticks with
savvy.
Did
trade?
Devin Hester sign when he left Chicago? It wasn't a trade? It was like free agent signing. Was that?
Yeah,
believe
that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember. But if you forced me to just choose a Bear that I was sad to see go, Devin Hester is right up there because I'm 31, so those Bears teams, the 05, 06 team that went to the Super Bowl, Devin Hester was one of he was my first real Bear that I adored.
Yeah.
Nobody said Jimmy Butler. Turned out Jimmy Butler's a pretty good player.
The Jimmy Butler trade didn't hurt.
No, because I think people thought it was the right move. No, it was the right move, and a lot of people didn't like his
antics.
Yeah. Good word.
I don't think anyone felt sad about it. We were just kind of
that sucks.
This sucks.
This is officially a rebuild.
It'll be similar to when they. It's going to be similar to when they trade Zach LaVine this offseason.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Probably
The trade that we were kind of wondering if it was going to happen at the trade deadline.
Sox?
Jake
Sadie
says,
Sammy Sosa?
I don't know. Was there a
No.
yeah?
Sox
never trade anyone
Jake says
big
in
like
the
that?
chat,
Greg Olson.
Starlin Castro. If he
Greg
was a
Olson, he
what I
said,
said
too.
earlier.
Greg Olson was a big one.
Starlin Castro and what Jake said is true. It felt weird him not being there in 2016 because the first 2-3-ish years of that, the 2010s, he was the only thing worth watching until Rizzo came up and they started getting a little bit better. But for a while there, Castro, I think he had 200 hits 2 years in a row. Was an all-star.
Rizzo kept his song in honor. Walk-up song.
And it was one of those things, one of the things that had to happen because that all led to obviously Ben Zobrist getting signed by the Cubs. It did feel weird that Castro went through that whole first half of the decade, the rebuild, the tear down, the rebuild, the come up, and then he doesn't get to enjoy the 2016. It was weird.
I guess the reason that I didn't think of it as something like that is because the moment they traded Starlin Castro, not even an hour later they signed Ben Zobrist. And I was like, okay, I like that.
You only had an hour of anger.
Yeah, I wasn't even really angry. I knew it was a possibility that he could be traded that offseason. I knew that they were high on Ben Zobrist, so I was, they did kind of do exactly what I wanted them to do in a way. I mean, I was sad to see him go because he was a homegrown Cubs prospect, and I remember, I want to say the first time that Castro came back to Chicago with the Yankees, him and Rizzo went out. And I remember Rizzo posting a picture of them two on Instagram or something like that. And, you get those feels of wish he was still here. It is sad, but it just, I don't know. He didn't win here, so that's why it's not nearly as bad as some of these other ones that we've said. But he is one of the guys that you wish he could have been part of 2016 because he did go through that entire rebuild.
Kane is disappointing, though. Kane's the Mount Rushmore of unfortunate trades in Chicago sports history. Do I think it's the right move? I think it's the right move.
Yeah.
But it's tough to watch because you watched him as when you go back and look at video of him in the draft.
It's crazy.
Coming up, and you're like,
that 16 years went so
it looks like he's 14
fast.
years old in that. So you literally watch him grow up from a child to an adult and now father. It's,
I remember them talking about it on Comcast Sportsnet. In those mornings.
I mean,
that's
I rode on the.
Patrick Kane
I was lucky to ride on top of the bus with the guy twice in a parade.
Flex,
no, it's not. It's not a flex. It's just that if I had to pick up,
it wasn't during a parade. It was just during a night out.
Yeah, it was just a parade. No,
he was just
but
hanging out with
that's an opportunity you don't forget because when you see the people and stuff, and like Patrick Kane, well, for one of them, he was the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got some cool opportunities because of
Well, I mean,
his play.
Michael Collada asked, were we ever on the good side of a trade, any sport?
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo is one of them for the Cubs, right? Jake Arrieta. Come on, Collada. You're better than
Sammy
that.
Sosa. I mean,
I will say that all the trades that we are saying are the ones that you look back, you're like, yeah, they probably needed to happen. I understand why it happened. Some of them have actually worked out the way they're supposed to, whatever.
The Cubs the one with Rizzo is still playing out, but it does seem promising. Yeah.
There are those
most of them made sense.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. Most of them make sense.
Chris Bryant still has potential to be the right trade.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have to admit that you like what you're doing now and the team that you're talking about rather than, oh my God, we're sitting here and we owe Javi Baez $135 million more dollars, and we still owe Chris Bryant $200 million. Like, you guys wouldn't want to be in that position, so it's just one of those things, I guess.
With the way that the Cubs spend money, it's good that they right now at least it feels good that they may have avoided the having to pay all that money.
Yeah.
Especially Baez. He's the one that I'm not really surprised to see what's happened. But Chris Bryant just got to stay on the field. If he could stay on the field, I think that's one we could be talking about and thinking, man, like, well, I would love to have him at third base right now.
What's interesting is, like, obviously we're doing a show with 3 Cubs guys, but not even the comments. Hasn't been any White Sox trades brought up.
I see Sammy's got to be one.
The one that got
Once
away.
they watched him come into, like, hit 66 home runs, but even at the fact when they traded him, he was still one of their bigger.
That's not Pat.
I know it's not Derrick Rose. Well, it's a bad trade, but
different
they
thing.
just know
Like,
it.
again,
Those
it's a different
weren't
story.
Those weren't heartbreaking.
And
It's when you
Sammy
look
is
at
too.
hindsight
Sammy's a
like,
different
damn,
one,
why
too.
we
Now,
got
so I
traded?
know a lot of people say, "Oh, I was heartbroken when Chris Sale got traded."
Yeah,
And
that's
I just
good.
didn't understand that because I was just done with that guy. Like, I just thought he was a red ass. Like,
It probably would have been like if they had traded
Never
Jose
cut
Abreu
the
this
sleeves
offseason.
off.
Steven,
there, sure.
were you heartbroken when Chris Sale got traded?
Heartbroken. Okay,
He
so
says
who
no
was heartbroken?
because of yeah.
Any Sox trade that
So-
hurt your core just because you like the player so much? As a fan?
He said Adam Eaton.
I've
He
got
said
one.
Adam Eaton.
They traded Aaron Rowan, didn't they? Some people.
But you got
loved-
Jim Tomei back,
I know, but people loved Aaron Rowan.
right?
He did win the World Series.
He won the World Series. He was like, were you hurt when they
said-
traded him?
We need to get Aaron Rowan on our Bears podcast. He's a huge Bears fan.
He is, yeah.
Really?
Do it.
Get him on the White Sox podcast while you're at it.
Carlos Lee got traded, correct? That
El Caballo.
yeah, and
Al
but
Caballo.
Ordonez
El
was a
Duque.
free agent.
Did they trade Joe Creedy? Creedy.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember any Sox trades. I'm not gonna lie. Like any big ones.
Yeah, Chris Sale is the only one that I can
When the
think
Cubs
of.
traded Steve Stone.
Well, yeah.
Quintana was.
What about that Quintana trade?
I was gonna say, were they heartbroken over Quintana? I don't know.
No.
No,
Okay.
it's just a different level with guys that were legends.
I was just
Who,
kind of numb during the Quintana trade, the day that it happened. So, Colada
All right,
says
so-
Dick Allen. Oh, Sox got Dick Allen.
I'm glad that we get to talk a little about DraftKings. I don't get to do a lot of show with Cody, but Cody, how have your DraftKings bets been going?
Well, tonight I'm riding San Diego and Portland over
Obviously.
58.5. And I'm riding Luke's Valparaiso Beacons.
Yeah. Still calling the Crusaders.
taking them in Murray State over 140.5. So,
Should have taken Mizzou -4 yesterday.
God, you have not shut up about that.
I haven't.
I'm
Told you to.
you shouldn't want me to bet on Mizzou because every time I do, they don't cover and they don't win.
I need to start brushing up on my college
we'll
basketball
never know.
because I may start putting
March
some money
Madness.
down
March
on March
Madness
Madness.
is coming,
But,
man.
It's fun. It's fun.
yeah.
Me and Sean, it's been a roller coaster, but that's been the college basketball season is so up and down with a lot of teams. So
Yeah.
we have had our good weeks, we've had our bad weeks.
Anyway, listeners right now should download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with the code CHGO. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, that's code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details.
Also, we are so excited to partner with our friends at Circle K. They just opened up a new Circle K in Lakeview East by the gym I go to.
Okay.
Nice.
There you go.
Reminds me of
K.
like
Gonna have to
Bill and
stop in.
Ted's. Remember Bill and Ted's Excellent
Yes.
Adventure?
There you go.
Circle
Yeah.
K was in that, right?
Yeah. I was thinking it was Wayne's World, but it was
Yeah,
Bill
yeah.
and Ted's.
So anyway, I'm excited to go check that my local Circle K out. They have the best coffee, beer, and snack collection, and premium gas at some locations. So look out for the freebies and giveaways down the road. My favorite snack to get at like a Circle K is I love the combos.
Combos are always
Combos.
good.
Yeah.
Slim Jims.
Not a big combos guy, but
I also like
I mean, like a Starbucks Frappuccino if you need a pick-me-up.
don't yell at me on how I pronounce this.
Pronounce.
Pronounce.
I can't talk.
can't even pronounce.
That's
pronounce.
I'm
right
doing-
there. That's
I
a
am
the
gift
show.
right there.
Clip it.
Clip it.
End the show.
Pronounce.
Pronounce this.
I pronounce it Gardados, but some people say Gardettos.
Gardados?
Yeah, like people.
That's a choice.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
I love those as well.
I don't know what
Get
that
those
is,
in
but
my
it
local
sounds like
Circle
you're
K.
wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind
Off-brand
of.
Chex
Yeah.
Mix.
Well, thanks to Circle K for sponsoring CHGO. Visit the nearest Circle K, pick up all those favorite finds. All right, quickly here. March 4th, CHGO turns 1 year old, baby. Let's go. I want to thank everyone for all their support over this year. It's crazy thinking just a year ago we did our first The Chicago Sports Podcast. That was the first one we did. I think we did a few different waves of people, and you can probably go back in the playlist and watch it. It's crazy to think of how far we came, but real quickly, favorite moment from the first year.
Wow, my favorite part of year one.
That's tough.
Probably gonna be very Cubs centric. Yours is probably covering the Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I was gonna say Field of Dreams. Like that was the first one that popped in my head. I would have to say Field of Dreams is awesome.
As an overall CHGO thing, I would say my favorite thing was probably the first Bears tailgate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Ooh,
We
that's
had like
good.
200 some people show up to that thing, and the weather was pretty
Yeah,
good.
Bears tailgates were awesome. too.
And I had a very good time. We'll just leave it at
The
that.
last tailgate was real cold. I would say
Tailgate, not as fun.
I would say either surprising them with my Jordans or
Ooh, that was a good
tricking
moment.
everybody with the April Fool's
Whatever.
joke.
Oh
was
my
good.
God,
Whatever.
the April
Yeah.
Fool's joke.
Gold.
Yeah,
I think
dumb.
the events to me have just been awesome. I mean, we did that first White Sox one in the middle.
Oh, that
of,
was
I think,
fun,
July,
yeah.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
kind of
We're all
seeing
Cubs
people,
boys.
people coming out. Those Bears tailgates were great. Some of these takeovers we've done.
On a more personal level, I think the coolest part of CHGO or working at CHGO in the first year has been the two random people I've seen in the wild that have noticed me. And
I thought you were going to say the people you work with. I was starting to get.
I thought he was going to say the friends that he
Yeah,
made
along
along
the
the
way.
way.
I thought
Oh,
that
and the
too.
friends I made along the
recognize
way.
you.
That's what was
obviously.
gonna be it.
But I'm
People
just
I
saying
work
it didn't get old,
Okay.
even though it's only happened twice. But it was
Yeah,
pretty
that-
cool to see.
it'd be
And
hard
the
to get
people
on
we
for the
work
second
with are
time.
okay too. But
Well, we could not
recognized
do
me.
it without people watching. We had a great crowd today. Appreciate you watching the Chicago Sports Podcast every Thursday at 3 p.m. Make sure you check us out. If you have a podcast provider, make sure you're following us there. Could use a little help there. Use a good review. Tell a friend. But for now, appreciate you guys stopping by this week. Luke, we'll see you next Thursday.
Yep.
Joey, thanks for your support today. And we'll see everyone next time.